was living here year-round. There was a big switch. Pack animals over on the Chilkoot Trail was way too steep. These are the handmade boats that they would use to sail down the Yukon River. On the back here you can see a nice close-up of that same photo, so you can see the gear they were using. None of this nice Patagonia, Marmot, North Bay planet. But we like to compare ourselves, so we call ourselves Scandinavia and Gemini or Skag. Now that body of water out there never freezes. We have a nice warm current coming over from Japan, and it stays about an average of 42 degrees out there. Now, if you guys can imagine, we had 5,000 feet of glacial ice here, and I know the clouds are pretty low today, so everything...
Soapy Smith was a famous con artist, saloon and gambling house proprietor, gangster, and crime boss in Skagway, Alaska during the Yukon Gold Rush. His most famous scam was supposedly placing a $100 bill under the wrappers of bars of soap that he was selling to a crowd of onlookers. Nobody was getting the $100 bills except for his shills in the audience. On July 7, 1898, John Stewart, a returning Klondike miner with $2,700 in gold, was conned out of his gold by Soapy's men. The local vigilante committee demanded that Soapy return the money, but he refused. On July 8th, the vigilante committee organized a meeting on Juneau Wharf. Soapy, with a Winchester rifle draped over his shoulder, went down to investigate. He got into an argument with Frank H. Reed, one of the 4 guards on the wharf. Shots were fired. Soapy was killed outright, and Frank Reed was mortally wounded and died a town hero 12 days later. Soapy was buried outside the city cemetery. Frank Reed has the largest tombstone and is in the center of the cemetery.
You knew it was coming. And then as we cross the street here, you'll see the visitor center over here on the right-hand side. This is a great place to start your journey in Skagway. They have a wealth of information. They do a free...
See what I mean, Maggie, on the bed? So they rest in peace. And see this big,
Reeds is that...
From 1896 to 1899, the White Pass Trail out of Skagway to Bennett Lake was used as the starting point for the trip to the Klondike Goldfields. Jack London named it the Dead Horse Trail because over 3,000 horses died making the journey. The Mounties required each miner bring up 1 ton of provisions, which often took several trips. Once at Lake Bennett, the miners purchased or built boats for the 500-mile trip to the Klondike. Many could not fit the 1 ton of provisions on the boats, so much of the supplies were simply left behind. The White Pass Railway was started in 1898 and completed in 1900 and went 110 miles from Skagway to Whitehorse, so the White Pass Trail was no longer needed. 450 tons of explosives were needed to reach the 20-mile distance to White Pass.
I said that you can stay on this for 8 hours. WMP. Where's the bronze disc?
What?
As we go past the front of the Empress Hotel, the Empress was the second project, but when he came here, he noticed a government ad asking for expressions of interest from architectural firms in British Columbia, so that those Parliament buildings on the right.
我讲在这里扫一下，
Hi, Jay.
Yeah.